Good afternoon, friends. My name is Richard Irvin. I'm the mayor of Aurora, and I have some special guests on with me today. We're going to be talking about the subject of feeding Aurora. As COVID-19 has caused a domino effect of unemployment and underemployment, the need for food assistance has dramatically increased as people have to make a stretch to make ends meet these days, even if they have any ends at all. Today, we are talking about the impact of this directly on Aurora and how our local food pantries and regional providers are handling the demand. Grocery stores are essential businesses, but if that is not an option for all food needs, residents are turning to our food pantries. Essential businesses as well, our food pantries and their staff and volunteers have had to find creative ways to meet the demands during this time. Let me start by commending all of you and your teams for going above and beyond to serve our community, always, but especially now in this time of crisis. Now, I'm going to ask our guests to briefly introduce themselves. Today we have, and they'll introduce their organizations, but I will say who we have on with us today, and that's Julie Yurko, and she'll introduce herself in a few minutes and her organization. We have Rich and Linnea Forney, Kat Batista, and Diane Renner. Julie, you want to start off with you? You want to introduce yourself and tell our listeners who you are and who you work with?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much again for inviting us to have this conversation today. It is important. It's an important conversation, and we're just privileged to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
I work for Northern Illinois Food Bank. We believe in full bellies here at Northern Illinois Food Bank, and we believe in the power of communities. We are Chicago's suburban food bank. We cover 13 counties, all of the collar counties of Chicago, and we go out into the rural areas as well. We, together with a robust network of more than 900 feeding sites, of which 300 are food pantries, together we provided 69 million meals last year to our neighbors in need. We are seeing a dramatic uptick in need given this health and economic crisis, and we are just privileged to work with both Diane and Kat's organizations and many other organizations, not only in Aurora, but across Northern Illinois, to make sure that our neighbors have full bellies today, now more than ever.
Wow, that's great. Well, thank you for all that you do. Let's go next to Rich and Linnea Forney, captains. Rich and Linnea Forney, would you introduce yourself and your organization?
Sure. We're captains Rich and Linnea Forney from the Salvation Army here in Aurora. We serve the surrounding communities as well. So while we're located in Aurora and we take care of the needs here, we also address our surrounding communities. Our mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs in his name without discrimination. And part of that always will be including emergency assistance for food. And that has been our focus during COVID right now, is focusing on making sure that the most vulnerable continue to be fed, children at home and seniors. So that's where we really put our efforts in recently.
Well, thank you very much. Good to have you on, and thank you for what you do for our community. Let's go next to Ms. Kat Batista.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for having us represented on this program as well. I am the Executive Director of Aurora Food Pantry, which is one of the largest free markets in the state of Illinois, serving over 113,000 individuals each year. We're proud to not only serve so many incredible folks right here in the city of Aurora, but also to have friends visiting us from 6 other counties as well. And we are also very grateful for our friends at the Northern Illinois Food Bank, who we are one of their member agencies, and we get to walk alongside them in the fight against hunger, as well as our sister pantries, both the Salvation Army as well as Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry, and that we get to fight this battle together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then let's finish up with introductions from, thank you very much, Kat, and everything that you do for our community. Let's go on to Ms. Diane Renner.
Hi, I'm Diane. I'm with the Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry here in Aurora. We have been in existence for over 60 years, serving the community and the surrounding area. We have 2 food pantries in Aurora, covering both the east side and the west side, as well as Batavia and North Aurora and Montgomery and Oswego. We see regular volunteer guests visiting us from those areas as well. Our mission is to meet the hunger needs of individuals and families and empower and enlighten them to be self-sustainable. And we're using that with our garden too, where we harvest our own garden harvest in this fall, and we try to educate our guests when they come on learning to do a little bit more gardening themselves.
Wow, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Diane, for everything you do for our community. All right, guys, let's jump in and start having a little bit of conversation about food and feeding our community. You know, this crisis that has happened, you know, it took everyone by surprise how it would shut down our community and affect our lives, our everyday lives. And, you know, oftentimes, you know, we don't think about how it would affect, you know, just simple things like where's our next meal going to come from? You know, how are we all going to feed our families in this times of crisis, especially when so many folks are losing their jobs, getting laid off, you know, and fired, you know, or just, you know, or have small businesses that, you know, no longer are in business because we've shut down as a community. So I guess my first question, and I'll start with you, Diane, if you don't mind, is, you know, how many people did you serve last year this time versus this year since the crisis, you know, and how many people are you serving right now, would you say?
Well, what I did was looked back at our first quarter last year on our quality of life grant reporting and compared it with our first quarter of this year. We were already up 107% before the COVID came, but including the COVID, we're up 419%.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
from last year. So, you know, rather than giving numbers, I just thought that would be a little bit more impact on what is really happening out there.
Wow.
And like I said earlier, we're pedaling as fast as we can and looking forward, thinking on where our resources, and oh my gosh, the Northern Iowa Food Bank has been tremendous for us, but we also need to start thinking about what it's going to look like in May.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about you, Kat? Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, how many you've served last year versus this year, and the increase that you've seen based on the COVID crisis?
It's changed a lot. So we are a free choice market, which means people can come in and go grocery shopping and gather the items that they need. That's just an important distinction because there's a couple of different kinds of pantries. There's also pantries where you can just drive up and get a box of food or certain supplies. So we're what we call full service. And on average, we were seeing 2,100 to 2,000 individuals per week. So we launched into our COVID response plan the week of St. Patrick's Day. So it was March 17th, actually, I remember, because everybody was very festive in their St. Patrick's Day gear. And in that week, we served 4,000 people.
Wow. Wow.
And then the numbers just gone up, where I think this is the coolest thing. I mean, to look at the numbers is we're now serving over 8,000.
A week?
A week.
Wow. Wow. That is a huge increase. And the simple fact is, if you are serving these people, these are people clearly in need. So,
Yes.
But for your organizations, you know, being able to do what they do, you know, where would these folks get their meals from? Let's go to Captains Rich and Linnea Forney. Tell me a little bit about the increased numbers of people you guys are coming in contact this year versus last year.
Sure, we've seen about 150% increase per week.
Wow.
And we're one of the smaller pantries. If you look at the grand scale of who's represented here, and again, we're very grateful for the Northern Illinois Food Bank to continue to provide the food supply that we have that's going out. I can say that our food pantry is part of our case management to be able to help people, whether it's rent, utility assistance, what we're doing, working with those families. So providing people with food to offset their food costs to be able to keep their rent, you know, paid it's very helpful. And being able to refer people to the other food pantries that are here to represented even here in this group to help supplement their income in ways to be able to pay for the things that are also needed it's part of what may not be recognized, but the food supplement is hugely important, no matter what, throughout the whole year. So seeing these numbers increase just show that there's so many people who haven't had to come ask for help before that are finding food pantries right now are about the only places where they can come to, we can't meet one-on-one doing casework at this time. And so the mobile food pantries, the food pantries where drive up, whatever the format is that's happening, are keeping people fed and alive at this time. And it's so important.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And let me just say that I've visited all of your facilities, and I've had the opportunity to meet Kat and Diane and the Forneys. And you have very impressive operations. And even before this crisis, you guys have been providing an invaluable service to our community. And it just shows that, even more valuable now that, without you, these folks that went from 2,000 to 8,000 or went up 400, percent, over 400% or over 150%, where would they go but for your support? But I heard all of you guys saying, thanks to Northern Illinois Food Bank. So let's just put this in perspective to say how Northern Illinois Food Bank actually assists or provides support to our Aurora organization. So Julie, let's go to you next. Don't want to leave you out. Let me just say that I actually volunteer with the Northern Illinois Food Bank as well, bagging food to, and wrapping food to give to folks. So, I'm very familiar with the organization. So tell me, can you tell the listeners, how are you and where do you get your food from and how are you associated with Aurora?
Sure. So we are a nonprofit food distributor. That's 90% of our business, is that we source food as primarily donated food. It's coming from retailers, from manufacturers, and we are bringing that food in and we are getting that food out to this network of food pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. We also purchase product, and that has increased dramatically over the last 6 weeks. We also bring in government.
Let me step in. You say you purchase product. You purchase it directly from stores. Where do you purchase
it from? Manufacturers or food suppliers. So we're typically purchasing in pallets, often truckloads of food, and it could be across the board. It could be a shelf-stable product, produce or protein, dairy, anything that our neighbors would like, that are asking for, as well as our food pantries. We are a membership organization in a sense. So we welcome in food pantries from across the 13 counties, and we provide them with training. Along with the food, we provide them with training, food safety training, best practice training. We can look at all of the wonderful things that are happening out in the network. You've heard about these 3 amazing organizations and how they all approach their food distribution. We will share those best practices across our network. We will also provide technology support, particularly in our client intake software called Link to Feed. And we also provide funding out to our agencies.
Wow. That's great. Well, thank you for what you do for our community as well. Now, so I don't know, most people probably have seen a big truck driving around and that says Northern Illinois Food Bank and not necessarily know what it is. So now we know exactly what it is. I've seen that truck driving around Aurora on a number of occasions. Matter of fact, that truck probably stops at each one of your facilities to drop off food. Is that right? So let me ask before we go forward, where exactly, so people know, are you located? Kat, let me start with you. Where's your facility located?
Our facility is located at 1110 Jericho Road. And all you have to do on Tuesday or Thursday to find us is find the line of cars that have moved down to Lake Street, and that'll take you straight to us.
Absolutely. So that'd be on the west side of town, of Aurora. And Diane, where's your facility located?
Our main office or main pantry is on 834 North Highland, which is on the west side of Aurora, kind of centrally located. And our east pantry is located in East Aurora High School.
So that location at East Aurora High School, is that only for folks that are in the school district, or is that for the general public?
That's for the general public also. And that's on a Saturday when clients can't get to food pantries during the week because they do still work and need extra days where they can get some assistance. And so we're open there on Saturday mornings.
All right. Well, so people just come up to the school, or is it at the south end of the school, in the back of the school?
And Gotcha.
And Rich and Lene,
we also have a student food pantry where we were serving the students twice a month, where they would come and we move all of the food in these cages into a hallway where the students can grab food on their way home, either to get on their bus or to walk home or whatever. And we were doing that 2 days a month as well.
Wow, that's great. Rich and Linnea, where are you located?
437 East Galena
Currently,
currently, and soon we will be moving to 550 Redwood on the west side,
All right.
but currently 437 East Galena.
Okay. All right. And how is your setup? What are your hours and days?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to noon
Okay.
on Tuesday. Yeah,
And that's the general public as well.
general
Correct.
public.
Okay. All right. Well, how are your processes changed since this crisis began? I have you extended hours? Do you have people qualify to receive your food, or is it more open to the public, or has it always just been open to the general public? We'll start with Rich and Linnea.
It's always been open to the general public. We just ask people to bring in an ID so that we can track, and we ask them information about their household numbers, how many in the household. So how many people are being served? Some of that goes back to the Northern Illinois Food Bank as we're tracking statistics, how many people are actually served here in our communities. As well as during this time, we're a little bit more free with our food. When people are coming asking for food, while we refer them to the other pantries that are there, if they're having difficulty in getting to where they need to go to get more food, we're always willing to give. We obviously see a lot of people walking from the neighborhoods that are coming in. And so we know that regionally and by neighborhood, as many food pantries as are serving, it's great because there's a lot of people who aren't driving around at this time.
We don't have as much stipulation. Like now it's, if you're come any, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we don't have a once every month or every 6 weeks, or it's come when you can. And when we see people a little more often, like Tuesday and Thursday, we'll just encourage them to use the other food pantries, but we definitely say to them, but if you need food, we understand right now under this. So we're very, and we're seeing a lot more frequency. Like we said, obviously 150%, but we're seeing a lot more first timers coming in, which is very humbling. I mean, it breaks my heart, but we just let them know, listen, we don't need to know your whole life history. Just come in, we can give you food, I guess is the key.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
I'll also ask the other pantries as well. What type of food? Is it dry food? Is it fruits, vegetables? What kind of food do you offer at your location? Or all of that?
Right. What
All
we
right.
get, we give out.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we don't have a lot of fresh produce. So we give a lot more shelf-stable, but we've been getting dairy, we've been getting cheese and milk lately, so that's been really helpful. Meat, we have been giving out a lot of meat.
Our emergency disaster services from the city of Chicago has been helping us with additional food, meat and other products. And so as they know that the Salvation Army's service in the communities is important, they've continued to supply us with what we need for those residents in our community.
Beautiful. And Diane, let me ask you, have your processes changed much as you see the numbers coming through and the type of the folks showing up, the type of food that you may get? Has anything changed?
Oh, absolutely. We normally are a client choice market as well, where people can come in and shop for the items that they have. But with all of this, now we have so many new processes in place where volunteers even have to take their temperature before checking in.
Wow.
Yeah, and we now do a drive-by station. Like most pantries are changing too, and everybody's trunk has to be open, but we have drive-by stations where they first go to the meat area and they still get to check to select what they want. There's a lot of people that can't have pork or don't want the red meat. So we still give them their choices of their meat, and then they drive a little further and they'll get their dairy and their deli, which we've been having plenty of milk and eggs and cheese to distribute as well. And then they also get a box of regular shelf-stable items. And then we give them tons of produce, which everybody needs that fresh produce anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next station that they go to is the bread and the desserts.
Wow. Wow.
So everything is a drive-through process. And
Yeah.
as you can know, today was raining. And so we had lots of tents up. We were still trying to manage the traffic, and everybody was drenched little rats, but still happy. and doing what we do best.
Now, when people come to your facility, how do they have to qualify? Do they need to show ID, or they just show up and ask for food?
We do still want to track our clients coming in, so we know at the end of each distribution all of our statistics. And most of our regular clients have a card, and they show us their card, and we write that number down. If they do not have a card with them, we ask them their name, their birth date, and how many adults and how many children, because we're able to still find some of them in the Link to Feed program that we're part of with the Northern Illinois Food Bank. It's an awesome system, and we're learning about it more and more every day. We just went into it last October, and we're thrilled with this new system.
When you say card, is it a card that's issued by Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry?
It is. It used to be when people came, they had to register with us, so we could track, how many are in their family, what their birth dates are, and what their race is, and whether they're disabled or a veteran or a single female head of household. And all of that information is captured into the Link to Feed program. But now that we have so many drive-throughs, we are not asking them to fill out any of those forms or asking them any of those questions. We're just getting their birth dates, their names, how many adults and how many children. So we're still actually able to capture all of our numbers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, Kat, you, I think I was just at your facility late last year. And, as you pointed out, it's like grocery shopping. It's, so large in there when you go in there, and you have refrigerators, you have sections for dry food, sections for fruits and vegetables and meat. Has anything changed as far as how you provide your services and your schedule? And how do people qualify to participate in your food pantry?
It's a great question, Mayor. So we currently have two different processes. We have non-pandemic process, and then we have pandemic process. So I'm just going to focus on the pandemic component because I think that is a better use of our time here. So Aurora Food Pantry has a pandemic response plan. And when we received notice that there was a positive case of COVID-19 on, I believe that was Thursday, March 13th, we automatically went into action in putting our plan into place. Our plan, which is something that we worked with the CDC, the Illinois Department of Public Health, the Kane County Health Department, as well as a private medical physician who helps us to put everything in order. We switched to a zero contact distribution model. Under that model, we've been able to work with APD. Can I give a shout out to APD?
Absolutely.
The Aurora Police Department so much. And also the EMA has been amazing in helping us to monitor the traffic. I told you I was, kind of kidding, but serious about that line of cars that stretches all the way from our facility down to Lake Street. With a line like that size, we don't have time to check ID, and we don't have time to give people a choice. So what we do is create a highly nutritious box with several options of protein and dairy and fruit and veg, frozen, dry products, staples, and everybody gets enough in the box that if they have, for example, they don't like pork for either religious or personal reasons, or perhaps they are not red meat eaters, they have enough protein that they can share with a neighbor. And that's what they're encouraged to do. We are able to process 700 cars in 3 hours, and we don't ask for any ID. We use a counting car model, which required some work, right, Julie? Like in dealing with some of our other state entities and making sure we are staying compliant with our federal food program. But we have two main priorities under the plan. Number one is safety. Nobody getting exposed to COVID-19, making sure everybody's getting the training they need on PPE and gloves and all of this stuff. And then also making sure every single person who comes to us gets food, and not just the basics. We want to make sure they get a full box. So if they are taking care of somebody at home who's sick or they can't leave the house, they have what they need to get them through until the following week.
So in your particular case, people can come once a week to get a box.
Right now, they can pretty much come as much as they want because
Gotcha.
we're not checking. Like
Right.
we're not asking for windows to be rolled down. We tried to do that in the rain. So I identify with you, Dan, and it was a nightmare. Like I posted a picture of myself on social, just like drenched with like the big yellow thing. And I had all the paperwork and it was a nightmare for us. So we had to modify that part of our plan to just do a straight drive-through model.
Gotcha. And Julie, let's go to you, which, you know, and I'll ask you, since your mission is a little bit different than the pantries. You provide the food to the pantries. Just let me ask you a question. How many tons or pounds of tons of food do you guys deal in per week? Or is that even how you measure the amount of food that you have?
Sure, I can give you that per month and you can do the math on average. But for the month of April, we are expecting to touch more than 9 million pounds of food.
Wow. I'm sorry, say that one more time. Did you say 9
9
million?
Wow. Yeah, 9 million. What you should know is, in addition to the wonderful food pantry and the network that we're able to support, we do have our own food bank programs, which include mobile pantries. It includes our own food pantry out in Rockford. We have an online food pantry, and we have kid and senior feeding sites. And so we're able to do all of that great work in addition to supporting the pantries. What I'd really love to highlight is in non-COVID times, within Aurora, we have 74 different feeding programs. 74. A vast majority of those are kid feeding sites. Over 60 of those are kid feeding sites.
Wow.
But there are 8 food pantries. And what you should know, Mayor, is that every one of those food pantries is open right now in Aurora. Every one of them. Every one of them is figuring out how to keep serving the neighbors in Aurora. And I think that I saw a little applause. That is amazing. And what we know is, and we are not the only supplier of food to these wonderful agencies. As the Forneys mentioned, you know, there's other sources of food coming in. Our food pantries are also, they go out to the retail stores and they also glean product. They do report that up to us so that we do a lot of the reporting. But what you should also know is that from, here it is. Since March 16th, we have provided to 23 agencies in Aurora, 560,000 pounds of food.
Wow.
And yeah, which is really amazing. And that is food going out, and that is these folks. And, you know, I was at a distribution in the rain on Saturday. I feel you. We've all been there. But it's these folks that are really on the front line, and they are making sure that neighbors not only have the food and the nutrition they need, but they receive it in a way that is respectful, that they are welcomed in a way that makes them feel, you know, proud and part of a community. And that is just so important. We track, like I said, we're data folks, and we have visibility to national stats and local stats. And I will tell you, we have seen across the United States, we have seen a third of the folks coming to us have never been to a food pantry before. Folks, I think that's probably low in our area. That's a national stat. And what I'd love to share right now, if I may, is in addition to contacting any of these amazing organizations on this Facebook Live, if there is someone who's watching and if they need help, and if they are not part of Aurora, or even if they are and they want more information, they can always go to any of our websites. I don't know them all by heart, so you're gonna have to chime in, but ours is solvehungertoday.org, and there's a Get Groceries drop down, and you can go and you can find all of the food bank programs and all of the member agencies across all of our communities. You can also give us a call 7 days a week. It's 844-600-SNAP. That will allow you to apply for food stamps, but we can also help direct you to a feeding program within your community. And what folks have to know, right? These folks are saying it, the folks on the front lines are saying it. This is unprecedented. It was unexpected, right? It's a shock to all of us. And we all need a little help every once in a while. And we invite you to step forward, encourage. And if you need a little help, give us a call, come by and visit us. We will do whatever we can to help you during this time.
You know what, that takes us into, thank you very much, Julie. That takes us into my next question that I was thinking of as you were speaking. You folks, all of your organizations, help the community. How can the community or people that are interested help you to continue to help those in need. Because that, Julian, I want you to start this off. I'm not sure, where do you get the money from to have 9 million tons of food, per month? Where does that money come from? And we'll come to the rest of you. And I know a lot of you rely on donations, and support. So Julie, when you start that off for me,
Yes,
where does that money come from?
What I can say for all of us with confidence is the only way the Charitable Food Network happens, the only way it operates, is when people choose to get involved.
Yeah.
A vast majority of all of our budgets, if not all of them, are contributed to us, right? The food, for us, it's 82%. For us, our budget is made up on contributions, which is over 60%. We have some government funding, and then we have some funding that we get from our member agencies. We also, nothing moves. My warehouse is behind me. Nothing moves without volunteers, right? None of us are able to get this food out unless folks are helping us like you did, sort, repack food, or actually distribute food out to neighbors. So the only way this happens is when people choose to get involved. Every day, we see the beauty of humanity. Every day.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Every day we see people wanting to help, and we see people there willing to accept that help. Everyone is being courageous at this time. And I just encourage you to visit all, I'm gonna let you all give your websites. For choosing to invest today, I want to encourage you to invest in these organizations. Give your websites, because they will take the dollar you give them and they will use it to feed your neighbor.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, when I volunteered with the Northern Illinois Food Bank a couple winters ago, it was like 10 below zero, and we were outside. But because you got to provide this food, rain, sun or shine. Just like you're out in the rain, it doesn't matter. People need to eat all year round. Kat, what would you like to say to the people that are willing to help and support? What would you like the community to do?
First, I'd like to say thank you to the community, because they've already stepped up to take care of us in a super huge way. This has been a journey, unprecedented, as Julie said, and each step has been a new shock, a new pothole. And the community has really just come to us every single time and helped to lift up so we can continue to stay operational. I want to tell you about a little boy named Manus. Manus was having an 11th birthday. And somehow he came across our information on Facebook or Instagram, and he was moved by what he saw. So he decided to have an online virtual birthday party and ask all of his friends to give donations to us at Aurora Food Pantry.
Oh,
I know, I just love this kid. I can't wait for this to be over to give him a hug. And I think that's what it is. It's like, some people think you need to make a huge donation to make a difference. And that's not true. Like a $5 donation, a $10 donation, those are my favorite ones, because it shows the people that are really probably giving the most in comparison to maybe some other more, generous donors, which are still extremely generous. So there are so many ways to get involved with our mission. You can volunteer. I agree with Julie 100%. Without people willing to give us their time and talent, we cannot move the needle against hunger. And if you're interested in becoming a donor, that's something I love talking with people about too, especially if there's a certain area of our program that you would like to invest in. And to do either one of those things, you can visit us at aurorafoodpantry.org, or you can follow us up on social at Aurora Food Pantry. We're on Insta and we're on Facebook. So,
all right. So if somebody wants to volunteer, that's where they'll find the information to come out and help you out.
If you connect with us on any platform, we're going to be all over you.
And what about you, Diane?
Well, really, everything that Julie said and the captains and Kat about the community is kind of repetitive too. But I want to say that this community has been so darn giving. It's amazing how we don't even have to ask. And we haven't been pleading or asking for anything from our community, but it's just rolling in. People are just very supportive. They want to be involved. They want to be, have some part of helping people during this time. And it's just amazing, the outpour that's been coming in. And even companies and businesses. I mean, we've gotten all of our boxes from Shore Packaging and Amazon, and the 5 great organizations came together: Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley, and Dunham Fund, and United Way, and the Ink Board, and the Aurora Women Empowerment. right away went into action, reaching out to the community, saying, we're here to help you. Here's some, apply for this grant. And, it's just amazing how the outpour of this community comes together once again after a crisis that we had down the street from here
Yeah,
not long ago.
a
And
year ago.
that's when we became Aurora Strong, and Aurora just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And this community is, it just brings tears to your eyes about what they want to do just to help.
Absolutely. What's your, how do people get in touch with you if they want to come volunteer?
Well, that would be mariewilkinsonfoodpantry.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram too. We don't get on it a lot because we've got other things
You're
that
busy.
we're working on, a little busy, but our website is probably the best way to go.
Absolutely. And Rich and Linnea, how would people get in touch with you? And tell us a little bit about, if what you would like to see from the community, to help you to give back to all of us.
Sure. You can find us at the Aurora Salvation Army. You'll not to be confused with Aurora, Colorado, the Aurora, Illinois Salvation Army.
We do get
Exactly right.
confused.
Whether it's on Facebook
A lot of people.
or our website. But right now we have a very, very small group of volunteers who we're working with for their safety, for the safety of everybody who's working with us to keep our distribution going in a safe and operational model. We only have 2 full-time staff and 2 part-time. So we really rely on volunteers to make happen what happens. And the best way for us, this is part of what we do. We know that once face-to-face contact happens again, we're going to get bombarded with people seeking rent and utility assistance, and understanding that that's a key component in people's lives as well. Once we get back, that's something that we do, that we know we're going to get hit very hard on, that financially we're not prepared for what we anticipate the need is going to be. So contributions that come to us, just know that between the food that's going out, supplementing their income and rent and utility assistance, that's where we're really going to need a lot of help from our community for those in greatest need. So you can know that that those monies are being turned around. If you look up the Salvation Army and see what we do, you'll understand that those monies are going right back out into the community. So we already want to thank the people in advance. This is a very giving community. We know that at Christmas time, we see it happen. We can only do with what we're given. And so we are your Salvation Army, and we'll continue to be here beyond 130 years plus.
Let me just say, you guys are what I would call the unsung heroes in our community that people don't think about. I mean, what you do is heroic. What you by making sure that people are fed, which is essential for us to live. You guys make sure we get those essential things in life. But what I didn't think about were all those little heroes like Manus, the 11-year-old Manus, that donate to you so you can do what your jobs that you do, because you all rely primarily, on donations. So anybody out there listening, I think everybody here is open to receive donations and support, so you guys can continue to provide the amazing service that you provide to our community. But let's see if Clayton, are there any questions from our community out there?
About a lot of questions, a lot more comments, and just folks saying thank you. So many shout outs. I haven't seen this many thank yous in a thread. We've been doing this for the last couple of weeks, so thank you. But questions related to students and seniors. First, directly to Julie Yurko. Will you continue to provide the free summer, that 10-week summer program for kids in the park this year?
Sure. So right now we are making plans for our summer food service program, including the Meals on the Move program. Kat had mentioned there's a pothole every day and things shift every day. So we don't have that all buttoned up yet, but we will absolutely be opening our summer sites, and we will be opening them in Aurora, and we will be providing breakfast, lunch, and dinner at multiple sites across the community, starting the second week in June.
Incredible. Thank you. We'll help to get that word out. And Mayor, the next question for everyone is about senior citizens, particularly homebound senior citizens. What can we do? What is being done to get food to them?
Let's start with Kat. Go ahead, Kat.
So I love that question. Something that we've been doing is we've been making sure to stay in contact with our senior sites, and we've also been delivering boxes of fresh groceries to a number of senior facilities in the Aurora and North Aurora area. So if there's any seniors out there that are needing food and you can't get access to food, we do have a program for that right now. So please just contact our office and we will arrange for a drop off.
Wow, that's great. What about you, Diane?
We
Marie Wilkinson.
work directly with senior services, and we provide senior services enough food to when they're going out to visit their clients or their guests. They take the food with them for the clients that they know are in need of food. So we don't directly take it to them, but we go through the caseworkers.
Got you. Absolutely. And Rich Lene?
We've been on a limited basis. We've been delivering to people who are unable to get out or have somebody that can get to a pantry for them. In particular, when it comes to seniors who are homebound, or if somebody who's been diagnosed or their family members have been diagnosed, so they themselves are quarantined and they can't leave their home. We do a no contact delivery to those homes when we can and based on that need.
So we just drop it off on their doorstep, literally, and then we text them or let them know. But yeah, we've had some, and it's, you know, I know, very grateful and stuff, but we feel good that we were able to help.
Great. And Julie, do you have a senior program?
We do. We have a couple of different senior programs. Probably our most robust is our senior box program, where we are providing boxes out to seniors. We've increased that 50% during the COVID response. We also work with pantries that are delivering to seniors, and we help share out food to those particular agencies as well.
And let me ask this question as it concerns seniors. There may be dietary limitations or different limitations that is for food that a senior consumes. Do you guys do special boxes for seniors to make sure that the food they get is works with their nutritional needs? I see everybody shaking their head yes. So are there any particular, and let's start with Julie, are there any particular things that you do for seniors? What would your box look like?
Sure. So our box, it's a shelf-stable box. And so typically those are not only products or types of food that the senior is going to want, but also within the portions that they would like. That's
Gotcha.
what we find is that seniors don't need a big portion. They need smaller portions. They actually prefer that. It is so common for any of our neighbors to say, only give me what I need. I don't want to take from somebody else. But for our senior boxes, it's going out there. You're always going to have some of your rice, your pastas, you're going to have some canned fruits and vegetables. You're going to have shelf-stable milk is always going to be in there, and other canned proteins.
What is shelf-stable milk? Like powdered milk?
It's a liquid milk, but it is shelf-stable.
Okay. And Kat, what about you? What does your senior box look like?
Ours are pretty much the same as what Julie just described, except we are doing a half gallon of fresh dairy.
Gotcha.
But again, a lot of things that are going to be easy for folks to keep, to cook, and to maintain that have a high nutritional content.
Gotcha. And Diane?
The same, but we don't usually use the milk. We have coconut milk and almond milk, and ensure that we make sure is in the packages for everyone, along with the canned meat, canned tuna, and peanut butter. They need their protein. And just recently we did ask an organization that we partner with to bring us Ensure, and we got tons of Ensure in. So we're making sure everybody gets some of that as well.
Absolutely. And Richard Linnea, what does your senior box look like?
Very similar. The only thing we would ask is if there's something that they shouldn't have or that they need for us to switch out. So
Gotcha. Great. Any additional questions, Clayton, from the audience?
One final one. I know we're coming on time here. So we are talking about donations of food and possibly money, but are there other donations that you can use to help the business aspect of the program, whether it be boxes, PPE, business attire? Are there other things that people can donate to you?
We'll start with Richard Linnea on this one. What are some of the other things that they can donate to your organization other than food?
Sure, PPE are items that we can give out to children and the families. We can include those activities for home. Anything that helps encourage and help those parents out there with the children, we could include that in those boxes, activities for the kids.
We did get candy. We got this big, I'm sure it's because Easter wasn't as productive as before. So we recently just got a lot of candy. So
Sorry, parents, we're sending.
our
you home.
boxes were loaded with candy.
And what about you, Diane?
Well, we kind of have a strong protocol here about accepting items coming from the general public. We have a quarantine room where everything has to go into the quarantine room and not be touched for 7 days. So at the present time, we would prefer not to receive a lot more items coming in from that. But what we have been blessed with is information and little games and packages that Senior Services has put together that we can put out and give to the seniors so they can have little puzzles and things to do. And we have had a lot of coloring books that we've had previously that we pulled out of storage, and we're putting that in the boxes as well. But we actually would prefer not to receive too much from the community because it's a lot more extra work. We either have to wash it down with bleach water or we set it in our quarantine room for at least 7 days.
Gotcha. And Kat, what's your procedure as far, and what would you like to see? Other things beside food, like I saw you nodding your head when when someone mentioned PPEs, which are personal protective equipment, like masks or gowns or gloves. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a staff of 10 and we have a team of 30 volunteers that are making the mission happen Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that doesn't include everything we're doing on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays to make sure we're compliant with the FDA guidelines for like cleanliness of the food and the product. So any gloves or masks that people have to donate to us are greatly appreciated. And I thought of something that hadn't been brought up, but is real important for volunteers too. Sometimes the most important volunteer is somebody who knows how to do something. Like you're a handy person. He's nothing because, for example, for us, something that we need coming up is a new roof. Like a roof costs like $150,000. We don't have $150,000 for a roof, but maybe you could help us patch up the roof. So if you're like a bored roofer and you're looking for something to do, come patch a hole in the roof.
I bet you're going to get a lot of people to take you up on that.
I would love it.
And let's finish up with you, Julie. What are some of the things other than food can maybe people or organizations donate to your cause?
Yeah, I would second everything that was said here around the PPE, and absolutely, if you have a special skill, if you're really good, one of my, gosh, I'm so grateful for one of our volunteers who's really terrific with technology and is helping us with that work. So I would second all of that. And then I would just add that anyone watching, if you could share that there is a charitable food network and that this is where you could go find information out about it. And this is how you could get involved with it so that people are aware, right? Not only the folks that can give, but those who are in need, to spread the word so that everybody knows that we're here and we're here to help. And we together build really strong communities.
Wonderful.
Let me say one more time, you guys are I'm sorry, Dinah, did you have something?
I do have something.
Go ahead. That's all right.
I wanted to give a shout out to the Eastern Aurora school districts as well. They're working around the clock, putting together breakfast and lunches, pot boxes and packages, and making sure that that's available to the community as well. And that's continuing, and that's kind of like behind the scenes, and people don't see and hear about it a lot, but they're doing an awful lot of work out there for our community too.
Absolutely.
And I'm very grateful for them.
I know East Aurora School District 131 has a great program. District 129, West Aurora School District also has a great program, as well as District 204. We had them on the other day talking about the food they provide to their young people and families. Well, I just want to say, again, you guys are heroes in our community, and I don't think folks realize the value that you give to the city of Aurora and our surrounding communities that all rely on the services that you provide. And I just want to thank you for coming on today and talking about, what you do for our community. And I don't want this to be the last time. I know this is the first time we did it and we're doing it based on this crisis, but, if there's anything the city of Aurora I can do to help your cause and continue to further, what you already do for the city of Aurora and our surrounding communities, I'm there with you. And I look forward when we're past the COVID crisis to come out and visit your facilities again.
Sounds great.
And volunteer with all of you.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
You guys
so
have
much.
a great
Mayor.
day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.